keep clear before me the moments of my high resolve. So today I want to ask you, what is your high resolve? What have you decided is the way you live your life? So this quote, which I will get to later where it came from, keep clear before me the moments of my high resolve. And she talks there, unearthing the blocks of fear. I keep pressing on. But pressing on how? What have you decided? Decided beforehand is the moniker by which you live your life. Where is the level that you find acceptable for yourself? And do you keep that clear? Are you clear that this is okay for me? I'm okay to react like this. I'm okay to behave this way. Or do you notice? Do you KNOWTICE? Do you notice when you are not living at the level that you've already decided you want to live at? And mostly because, Eric said it in his talk just now, when you go through a philosophy like this and you keep going further and further and deeper into it, you can't unknow what you know. When you suddenly know that it's all up to you, that you are responsible for your reactions, that you are responsible to choose the thoughts you have, you're responsible to make the world around you make sense for you, you can't go back to blaming other people. You can't go back to saying, oh, it's that. I did it because of this. You made me feel this way. No. What's that song? You made me love you. I didn't want to do it. Yeah, you did. Because you did. Because you fell in love. That's how this goes. So once you know this, you can't go back. You must keep clear before you the high resolve of what you know about yourself. Keep clear before me all the moments when I've known the truth. Here's the thing. I think that we've spent a lot of time knowing the truth and then forgetting what we know. Just conveniently, wouldn't you say, Tiffany? We conveniently forget the truth when we want to go over here and judge a little bit, or we want to go over here and gossip just a little bit, or we want to go over here and be angry, or we want to go over here and throw a pity party for ourselves. We just conveniently forget the truth that all of that is going to somehow create the life that I'm living. Keep clear before me all the moments when I knew the truth. And I love when she said, the wisdom to forgive myself if I should miss the mark and need to try again. That's the phrase that really jumped out at me when I first heard this. To have the wisdom to say I'm sorry to myself. To have the wisdom to go, I didn't do that as well as I could have. I did not handle that the best that I know I could have handled that. And the wisdom and the courage to own up to it. And then do what is best. Do the next thing. Right? Forgive everything. But remember who you are. I can forgive, but now who am I going to be within this forgiveness? So it appears to me that we have missed the mark again as a people. And we need to forgive what is going on and get back to the truth. It's very hard to... It's very hard, and I said this to Kevin last night. We were walking the dogs, and I said, how will it be possible for us as a culture to ever look at this situation without remembering the video that I'm sure most of us have seen of one human treating another human with such disrespect that it has unearthed a fire within our country? How will we ever forget that? We won't. But you know what? Here's the thing about it. Not only how will we ever forget it, how will we ever forgive it? Because we're not looking for forgiveness right now. We're looking for vengeance. We're looking for revenge. We're looking to bring back something. But we never lost it, not really. We have forgotten, and we have missed the mark in a big, 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 big way. The title of my talk today is, Let's Try That Again. Now, when I gave that title, this hadn't happened. But boy, does it apply. Let's try that again and again and again and again. How many times is it going to take us to try again to get this right, to try again to love one another, to try again to respect people, even for their mistakes, to try again and again and again. I want to give you a little history. From 1900 to 1910, there were 15 riots in the United States. From 1910 to 1920, there were 67 riots in the United States. 1920 to 1930, 13 riots. 1930 to 1940, 18 riots. 1940 to 1950, 13 riots. 1950 to 1960, only 5 riots. We must have had a good decade, that decade. But then, in 1960 to 1970, the motherlode of riots happened in that century, in that decade rather. 60 riots. Why, would you say? Why in that 10 years? Well, because in 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered, which unleashed riots all over the world. And rightly so, really. Certainly something had to be done, said about it. But how ironic that those riots were unleashed by the king of nonviolence, by someone who basically came here to say, put down your anger and start loving one another. Stand up for justice. March, sit in, walk, talk, say what you need to say. But as Ernest Holmes said, come from something, not against something. Come for something, love, as Martin Luther King Jr. said. You know who else did that? Jesus. Talk about those riots. You don't think that was a riot when they were dragging him up that hill with a cross that he was carrying? Those were riots. Those were people standing on the side screaming, wanting vengeance, wanting revenge. And revenge for what, I ask? For saying we need to love one another. What was Martin Luther King's problem? We want to love one another. What is really being said today? We want love, not anger, not hate. 1970, 1980, 33 riots. 1980 to 1990, 7 riots. Another fairly decent decade. 1990 to 2000, 10 riots. 2000 to 2010, 13 riots. And 2010 to 2020, 33 riots, culminating in George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, there's your information. Lest you think this is new, no. This has been happening. And by the way, I only started with the 1900s. It went all the way back in history to like BC, what they now consider civil disrest, civil upheaval. So the question today is, what are we going to do about it? Not what are they going to do about it? Not what are the police going to do about it? Not what's our government going to do about it? What are we going to do about this? What are we going to do on this day? My heart is so heavy and full. But in the midst of all of the emotion I have, which of course we know are just my feelings giving rise to what I'm emoting, which is really just the thoughts that have been going through my head based on beliefs that I have, and behind that, based on something that I asked this morning to just use me, to let me get out of the way of what I usually do on a Sunday, which is inspire and make fun and have fun and be funny, to just get out of the way and be used. And I didn't know what that was going to mean, but if it means I stand here and cry, well, that's that. So what are we going to do about it? I'm not just going to cry about it. I'm going to allow those emotions, but I'm going to do something about it. And it's not just watch the news and be appalled about what I'm seeing. It's this. It's about, am I going to use my mind and my heart to deal with what's going on? So what is civil unrest anyway? I had to look it up. I was like, what does it really mean? Where did we get this? Civil unrest, also known as civil disturbance or civil disobedience, is an activity arising from a mass act of civil disorder, such as a demonstration, a riot, or a strike, in which the participants become hostile towards authority, and authorities incur difficulties in maintaining public safety and order over this disorderly crowd. It is, in any form, prejudicial to public law and order. And then the last thing it says, which totally got me, it is always in reaction to something or someone. It is always in reaction to something or someone. So Margaret's song actually came from a quote by Howard Thurman. And Howard Thurman's reaction to what was going on in his world led to a thing that he wrote called The Moments of My High Resolve. He was a leading figure in the many social justice movements of the 20th century. What I loved most was that he was the key mentor figure to Martin Luther King Jr. He was the man who Martin Luther King Jr. looked up to and found the philosophy that he brought to the world. And that philosophy is called radical nonviolence. Radical nonviolence. Well, radical forgiveness means that there was never anything to forgive in the first place, because back beyond all of the stuff, there is only love. So radical nonviolence would mean beyond all the violence and all the reaction that's going on in the world, back behind all of this, there is only love. Hard to see, hard to maybe accommodate today. But see how you feel after I read you these words of Howard Thurman. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Despite the dullness and barrenness of the days that pass, if I search with due diligence, I can always find a deposit left by some former radiance. But I had forgotten. At the time it was full-orbed, glorious, and resplendent. I was sure that I would never forget. In the moment of its fullness, I was sure that it would illumine my path for all the rest of my journey. I had forgotten how easy it is to forget. There was no intent to betray what seemed so sure at the time. My response was whole, clean, authentic, but little by little, there crept into my life the dust and the grit of the journey. Details, lower level demands, all kinds of cross currents, nothing momentous, nothing overwhelming, nothing flagrant, just wear and tear. If there had been some direct challenge, a clear-cut issue, I would have fought it to the end and beyond. In the quietness of this place, however, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of God, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or in foul, in good times or in tempests, in the days when the darkness and the foe are nameless and yet familiar, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. So, what is ours to do? I think he's made it pretty clear to us. What is your high resolve? How have you decided to add your consciousness, your vibration, into the mix of the world we are living in right in this particular moment? Your only tool is your mind. Your only tool to create peace is your heart. The only thing you can do is come from that place of truth, come from that high resolve. So you have two options, really. You can join the anger. You can get involved in all of the violence. You can allow yourself to be affected by all of this. Or you can come from love and bring that energy into this vibrational experience that we are all going through right now. It is so easy, and I get it. It is so easy to look out your window and see the grove on fire. It is so easy to talk to one of my practitioners last night who lives in downtown Los Angeles, who's in a 23rd story apartment, watching out his window as people are running all around below with police chasing and helicopters swirling. It's so easy. to get involved in all of that. And please know that I am not suggesting that we should all be ignoring this. No, no, no. Martin Luther King didn't ignore. Howard Thurman didn't ignore. Jesus did not ignore. We are not to ignore, but we are to keep clear or keep fresh the moments of our high resolve. It is up to us, each one of us, as religious scientists, as new thought minds, to stand in truth and come from love. And that means, by the way, love only. So let's try that again, yeah? Love only. I have to love the man who died as well as the man who was on top of him. I can't separate those two because I am both of them. We are all of them. And once we get that, when we get back to oneness, today's our last day to talk about oneness. When we get back to oneness and stop seeing ourselves as different and stop seeing these race inequalities, stop thinking that any color of any man or woman's body changes the value of who they are, when we go there and we celebrate that, now we are in this radical nonviolence. That's the gift we bring to the world. That's the gift New Thought brings to the world. That's the gift your mind can bring to the world. So, when I say you have two options, anger or love, that's true of everything in life. You always have two options. You can know the truth or you cannot know the truth. Here's the thing though, you do know the truth. I know the truth. Margaret knows the truth. Tiffany knows the truth. Matthew knows the truth. We can't go back from the truth that we know. Don't allow yourself to. Her song is not just a beautiful, entertaining song with a gorgeous redhead swinging on a swing, maybe my favorite image so far. That's not just what it is. It is a call to action. Are we or are we not going to live this philosophy, live this teaching that says, right where I am, God is, and that's true for you too, and that's true for you, and that's true for everyone. If we live that, if we keep that high resolve clearly embedded in our mind, we will not be able to see our differences. We will no longer see what separates us. We will only know what makes us one people on one planet, living in this beautiful world, as he said, a light that sometimes seems like it's out, but I guarantee you, if you just really resolve yourself to look, you will find that little ember. You will find that tiny little spark. You will find that thing itself that is ready to just burst into a flame of inspiration that reminds you who you are and reminds you what this world is all about. That's what we bring to the world. Let's stop reacting. Let's just come from the truth and see where that takes us so that we don't have to say to ourselves, let's try that again. Let's just try again one more time to come from love and see where that takes us. Namaste.